Commodity prices are down, housing prices are still relatively high, and there is sufficient demand for new homes, and yet home builders are refusing to build new homes, and this is being reflected in the data as well with respect to housing permits as well as housing starts. And the question really becomes why. For a home builder to determine whether they will build or won't build homes, there's really 5 compelling factors associated with that, which include high construction costs for both labor as well as materials. Now, when it comes to materials, their costs have come down quite substantially, as is represented in the cost for lumber. However, labor costs continue to rise at a reduced rate month over month. The second reason why is the limited availability of land. In some areas, there may be a shortage of land available for development, which can make it difficult to build new homes. Thirdly, there is zoning and regulatory issues. There may be local zoning laws and other regulations that limit the development of homes in certain areas. Now, this is a meaty topic, and more on this one just a little bit later. Fourthly, there may be the lack of demand. If there's not enough demand for new homes in a particular area, developers may be less likely to build new homes. And lastly is really economic downturns. During economic downturns, builders are more hesitant to start new construction projects due to concerns about being able to sell the finished home. This is relevant potentially with the recession that is somewhat lurking. The major reason in terms of why home builders are not building homes in this market is due to zoning laws, and let's discuss that a little bit more.
Well, I think it's not so much about prices falling. Unfortunately, we still have this kind of inventory issue in the country, and a lot of it, in my opinion, has to do actually with zoning more than it does inventory. I mean, a lot of these local municipalities do not want to build a lot of these subdivisions and stuff, so I think prices are going to stay pretty stable on a relative basis.
Zoning laws can impact housing supply in a number of ways. Zoning laws, for example, can control the type of buildings that are built or constructed in a particular area. Think, for example, areas that only require single-family homes. Or zoning laws could address the issue of regulating the density of development in an area. So, for example, being able to put up more multifamily homes. Similarly, zoning laws can also regulate the height and size of buildings that can be constructed in certain areas. Overall, zoning laws can have a significant impact when it comes to housing supply. Both New York and San Francisco are areas which have very strict zoning laws. Now, there are certainly other areas which also have extremely strict zoning laws, which prevents home builders from essentially building new homes. The responsibility for creating and enforcing zoning laws are governed typically by local governments and municipalities, such as cities as well as counties. In the United States, these laws are typically established and enforced by the planning and zoning departments of agencies of these local governments. In some cases, state or federal laws and regulations may also have an impact on local zoning laws. So since zoning laws are primarily controlled by local governments, the question really becomes well, why are they not being changed? If there's such a shortage for homes and there's such a demand for homes, why aren't people just electing appropriate officials such that these issues can effectively be resolved? And the fact of the matter is there can be many reasons why zoning laws governing home building are not being changed. One reason could be that the laws are seen as necessary to protect the character and integrity of a community, or to ensure that certain types of development are concentrated in certain areas. Another reason could be that there is a resistance to change from residents or other stakeholders who are opposed to the proposed changes. Additionally, the process for changing zoning laws can be complex and time-consuming, and may require the involvement of multiple stakeholders and decision makers. So an example of some of this recently occurred in 2018 in Santa Monica, California. Santa Monica residents voted against a ballot measure that would have amended the city's zoning laws to allow for more density and taller buildings in certain areas. The measure was opposed by a coalition of community groups who argued that it would lead to the construction of buildings that were out of character with the surrounding neighborhoods and would increase traffic and congestion. So it's almost like the community is its own worst enemy when it comes to the notion that there is a housing supply shortage in the United States. It is certainly possible for the community to effectively impact zoning laws and the changes thereof. The process for doing so can vary depending on the specific laws and regulations in place. In some cases, the community may be able to initiate a change to the zoning laws through a process known as rezoning, which involves the local government amending the zoning map for certain areas. This process may require the approval of the local planning commission and possibly other governmental bodies, and may also involve public hearings and other forms of community input. It is important to note that the ability of a community to change zoning laws can be subject to legal challenges and other forms of resistance as well. The biggest challenge, of course, is in the fact that homeowners and the community also like home appreciation, which unfortunately comes with supply constraints. So it's almost like the public is its own worst enemy. So while there are many reasons why there are housing supply related issues, you and your parents or whoever is living in that particular community can certainly impact change. And that change would come with expressing your views and opinions through local governments and municipalities. Now, it could certainly be a little bit challenging and time consuming, but it is almost necessary for the greater good. And this may be a good time to actually get involved in some of these activities. And if you liked this deeper dive into zoning laws and how they're actually impacting housing supply quite significantly, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.